Hello and welcome. This video will see how to find the domain and range of a quadratic polynomial which is of the form f of x is equal to 1 by square root of ax square plus bx plus c. Previous videos we have seen and how does square root of ax square plus bx plus c graph looks. Let us recap what we have done in the previous videos. Like if f of x is equal to square root of ax square plus bx plus c, then the roots if the value of a is positive and the roots are and if the roots are alpha and beta, I can write f of x is equal to square root of x minus alpha and x minus beta. So how does the curve look? The curve will be this. If the values are alpha and beta, curve would look like this. This on previous class. But when you take this in the denominator, f of x is equal to 1 by square root of ax square plus bx plus c, and if a is positive here as well and the roots are alpha and beta, then curve will look like this. I'll write this as 1 over square root of x minus alpha, and let me write it below. F of x I can write as 1 by square root of x minus alpha and x minus beta. So how does the curve look? This if the roots are alpha and beta so if you put x is equal to alpha here, this becomes 1 by 0, which is infinity. So it starts decreasing from a very large value to 0. Similarly, when you put x is equal to beta, this becomes the whole thing in the denominator becomes 0. So 1 by 0 is undefined, or you can say it's infinity. So from here it drops down to 0. This is how the graph looks. Or what we can say here is this is the reflection of this. We'll see it on the graph plotter. If I have square root of x square plus 5x plus 6, this is how the graph looks. And if I have g is equal to 1 over square root of x square plus 5x plus 6, I can see the graph g actually at minus 2, it comes from the very large value and goes to 0, whereas this function starts from 0, goes to infinity. The reciprocal function starts from infinity and goes to 0. Now let us see what happens when you take a as negative. So I'll take f of x is equal to square root of ax square plus bx plus c. Oh, before that we can see what is the domain and range of these functions. So here the domain of this function is, we know that this is from this area. It is minus infinity to alpha is included, union beta to infinity, beta is also included. Whereas when you come here, the domain here is again minus infinity to, so all this area, it covers all this area, minus infinity to alpha, union beta to infinity covers, but you cannot allow alpha inside the domain, because when you put x is equal to alpha, the denominator becomes 0. So what we write is, we cannot include alpha, as well as beta. That is the difference between these two. When it is in the numerator 0 is allowed, 0 is allowed, and its denominator 0 is not allowed, where x is equal to alpha. And the range is, the range over here is 0 to infinity, 0, 0 to infinity. Here also the range is 0 to infinity, but we cannot include 0. Now let us take other example which makes the concepts very clear. If I take f of x is equal to square root of ax square plus bx plus c, here if a is negative and if the roots are m and n, I can write f of x is equal to square root of x minus m and x minus n. The graph, since a is negative, the graph will look down. The roots are m and n. Graph will look like this, looks down, and this is my range. Sorry, this is my domain. And if you take the same thing, f of x is equal to 1 over square root of ax square plus bx plus c, and if a is negative as well and the roots are m and n, then we can write f of x is equal to 1 over square root of x minus m and x minus n. Here x cannot be equal to m and x cannot be equal to n, but when you take the graph would look like this. Take m and n. At m it is a very large value, again, because it becomes infinity, so the curve will look like this. So the inverted image of this is this. So you'll get some minimum point here, f minimum, then that helps us to find the range of the function. So what is the domain? The domain over here is between m and n. Both m and n are included. So what about here? Here the domain, of course it is between m and n, but we cannot include m and n. That is the difference, because at m and at n you get undefined values. What is the range over here? The range over here is, you'll get some maximum point here, f max. So f max to 0, and whereas the range here is it takes f minimum and goes up to infinity. So let us see in the graph. So if I have minus x square plus 5x plus 6x, so this is the graph, and if I take one under the root, you can see. So the second graph, this graph is the inverted image of this, inverted graph of this. Next videos will solve some problems on this. Thank you.